Hey guys, and welcome back to another one. Hope you are all okay on that side of the screen. Now today I don't have here a review, it's a different video. It's about a lot of reviews that we did on the channel, and to be more precise, 20 Android TV boxes that we tested here on the channel and of course shared to that side of the screen. Now before we start the video, I would like to give you two notes over here. One of which is this is going to be a long video. So if you don't like long videos, if you don't have the time, then just run away to something else that will please you better. And the second note is if you are expecting me to tell you which box should you buy, this one or that one, then this will not be the video for you as well. On the other hand, if you want to not learn but to get more feedback, at least from this side of the screen and hopefully from the community down below in the comment section, which I hope that all of you get into this discussion, then probably this will be the video for you, as what we try to do here is to share the experience that we had so far here on the channel with all these machines, and hopefully this experience will help you to decide the best Android TV box for yourself. Now that being said, if you are still here with us, let's start this video. So as you can see on the screen, there is the title of my keynote, which will help me to keep this video as short as possible. As you know, I do tend to talk a lot. Now it says the best Android TV box for 2015. When I have this title here, I don't mean the best Android TV box, as I don't mean the best computer or the best car, because this will be the best box for you, which might be different from the best box for me. This at the end, and I will share that with you in just a few minutes, at the end, the best box for each one of us doesn't mean that it is the best box, for all of us. So this is the main idea of this video. Now also I have another sentence there, which is by the end of the keynote you will be able to make an educated choice. Now don't take this as a lesson, because this will not be a lesson. As most of you know, I am a teacher, but this is not a lesson. This is just sharing of knowledge, which is teaching, but sharing of knowledge between all of us, and that is it. What I want with this video in particular is that I can give you more feedback on overall of these machines, and hopefully to get as much as possible of knowledge from that side of the screen to this side of the screen, and that's what makes this community great, and that is it. So try to keep focus on the keynote. What we are going to do is start this video, and as you can see on screen as well, I divided this or splitted this video in 8 topics. So we are going to cover some initial considerations, and then we are going to talk about hardware. Next we are going to talk about firmware, then benchmarks, online updates, support and community, my video reviews, the way that I do things around here, and lastly a conclusion. So what I'm going to do right now is going to leave this screen on, or this slides on the screen. So if you want to skip any of these topics, just press the one that you want to go, and there you go. So I will post links over there on the YouTube, and that is it. So that being said, let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the first topic, which is initial consideration. So as you can see on screen, I've got some topics there, and when I was building this presentation, I was trying to put on paper what goes around on my head when I do purchases. It doesn't matter if it's a box or if it's a GPU or if it's a whole computer, a TV, a car, a lunch, a dinner, a bottle of wine, it doesn't matter. I was trying to put together my ideas on paper, which is what's going around on my brain. So the first subtopic that I've got there is the best box for what? And this is a very important thing. Now, what do you want the box for? It's just to play movies, it is to play games, it is to do both. So this is one of the things that you should consider before buying any box. What do you do? And one thing that I would advise is get a piece of paper, old-fashioned. You don't need anything technology here, just a pen and paper, and create a checklist, which I'm going to hit that key once again later on the video. So the best thing is why and what for do I want the box. Now the second is your choice, A or B. And I've got an example here, which is a PC, personal computer with Windows, or a personal computer with OS X. Now usually, and well, since always, there's a war, people that are fans of Windows and people that are fan of OS X, and well, big discussion. For me, the way that I see things, I love both operating systems. Both of them have great things, both of them have less great things. So the way that I like to use things is I like to use the best of the both worlds on OS X and on Windows. But that's me. I do not praise for OS X or for Windows. I love both. So when I give this example here, the idea is which box, because there are pros and cons on each and every of these boxes. So it will be a personal decision for you. Do you want to use Windows? There is also Windows. We have the Z64 for Minix. It's the only Windows machine that we reviewed here on the channel so far. So this is one of the things that you should consider as well. Which box and for what? Now let's go for the third one, which is very important, which is the budget. So we have reviewed machines from 50 euros roughly, probably one or two a bit cheaper, but on that line over there, 50 euros up to 200 euros. So there is a big gap in between. And I also have an idea there, which is the compromise. This is a compromise that we have to do. Now, I'm going to give you another stupid example, and you're going to hear a lot of them during this video. If you have the budget for a Mercedes, well, then you don't have a lot of compromises. But if your budget only allows you for a second-hand Fiat, I don't know if you have that brand of car on your country, but then you're gonna do a lot of compromises, not just on speed, but maybe on comfort. Maybe the seats are not heated, maybe you don't have air conditioning. So we have to make compromises every day, unless you are a multi-millionaire, then probably you don't have any compromises, and even so, probably you will have. But regarding budget, we will have to do compromises every day on everything, and this is not an exception. So I do understand that if you don't have an high budget, you will have to make the best choice, and we will try to figure that out later on in the video. But this is one of the things that you will have to consider, every one of us will have to consider. Now, I also have there a topic which is, so I don't forget, is it your main machine? And if it is, what I would point out right now is if it's your main machine, that I would stretch as much as you can. Do not expend money that you don't have, but I would stretch as much as I can my budget for my main machine, so that you can get the first experience the best as you can. On the other hand, I would also give you another example or another type of choice which goes against everything that I just said on the past few seconds, which is get a cheap box and try to experience this to see if you like this kind of world, this kind of enjoyment in multimedia, especially with Kodi, which is what I use the most. And if you are happy with that, imagine that you can have the same but in a much better experience, faster, with availability to play games. So this is two kinds of making purchases that each one of you will have to make the decision. The only thing that I'm afraid on the second choice that I give you is if you buy a really cheap box which gives you a less good experience, you're gonna put it aside, you're not gonna use it, and probably you're not gonna get never a high-end device. And that's the only concern that I have. But these are two ways. I've done them both ways. So it's up to you, but it's something to consider. Now, the other topic is, do you care about responsiveness? And this has to be with the previous topic that I talk about, compromises. We all have to do compromises. And here, responsiveness, when I mean how fast is the device, and I can give you a few examples here. We have seen machines with the AM Logic S812. Some of them have eMMC flash storage, and some of them have just NAND flash storage, regular one, which I don't recall the technical name right now, but it's much slower. So you have the same CPU. Imagine a computer with a great CPU, i7 quad-core, 3.5 at 3.9, which is the one that I have at the moment right now. Really nice CPU, but then you have a regular hard drive, 7,200 RPM, or even worse, 540 RPM, 5,400 RPM, sorry. You're gonna get a total different experience if you have one with the same CPU and SSD. So this is another type of compromises, and some brands, to keep the budget lower, uses a great CPU, but then on the side of storage, on firmware, not so great. So this is another thing that you should consider. You can ask me, hey Robert, but how do I know that? And the answer is not easy. The answer is you will only know by experience, testing it, which is what we do here on the channel. So I will always give you the most accurate feedback over there, but the only way of trying is testing. There is no other way of doing that. Now, the other topic, which is, on my opinion, very important as well, do you want or do you need support? In my opinion, everybody needs support at one time or another. And I do get a lot of questions on the channel because people do not go directly to the support sites, or if they go directly, they take weeks to answer a question. And then we end up helping each other, which is great, so keep on doing that, no problem at all. But this is something to consider when you see a box that you like. Check out, search on Google. Google is a great tool. Search on Google for that particular box, see if you find the website. Take half an hour, 1 hour, doesn't matter. Check out the website, check out if they have a community, if they have a forum. How does that community involves? Is it a great involvement? Do you want to make part of that? So this is also, on my opinion, a important part of the process of choosing a box. And lastly, which is, on my opinion, the question that you have to make yourself. And of course, you can use reviews. That's what reviews are meant for. You can use reviews to achieve that point. But the last one is, what is your favorite one? And your favorite one, and I've got on the note, which I'll post again on screen, the one that you choose will be the best one for you. So ultimately, what we want to do here is that instead of me telling you, hey, get the Minix Z64, which is a great machine, and I will, by the way, I'm going to give you my favorite ones at the end of the video. Don't worry about that. My favorite personal ones, and that doesn't mean which is that they are the best. Just my favorite ones. But let's get back to the point. That's why I have the keynote right over here. The one that you choose is the best for you, and that's what we're going to try to achieve, so that on the end of the day, when you decide your purchase, you are happy with the box that you get, you are happy with the price that you paid for, you are happy with the performance that you have, which is related to the price that you pay, but also you are happy, which is one of the things that give me a great sensation, with the knowledge that you got previously to make that educated purchase. So all these factors, in my opinion, of course, this is just one guy opinion. That's why I want to hear all opinions down there on the comments. So this is the main objective, that you are happy with these three factors, not just the box, but with the knowledge that you got to get that box. And hopefully you will be so in love with these type of boxes as I am, that instead of one, you're gonna get another one. And that's one of the questions, and we're gonna wrap up this in just with this example. One of the questions that I had is, hey Robert, I have this particular machine and I'm really happy with it. I want another box to put on my room. Should I get the same one? Should I get different ones? And this is, you know, this is the kind of feeling that it's great to see. And sometimes they do get the same because they want a safe purchase, they already know what's there, and some of them risk. I'm more on that style, try to risk and get a different one and see, probably on the same brand but different box. And that will be it for this keynote over here. I'll post it on screen as well, again, so you have the resume there. But this is the main idea. These 6 points right over here are the main points that I use myself to make my purchases. So this is it for the first presentation. Let's go for the second one. Okay, so second topic, which is hardware. And on this topic here, as you can see on screen, I also have 6 subtopics, and probably this topic here is the one that people sees it first. Hardware. They go to a website, they see a machine, they go to the CPU and they say, hey, this is the AM Logic S812, it has 2 GB of RAM, 16 GB of EMC or 16 GB of flash storage, it has add-ons and whatever, well, doesn't matter, but the main hardware is right over there. So one thing before we start talking about hardware is not just the most important part, because I did experience a few boxes, and you probably has seen, and I will mention them in just a few seconds, particularly one which has great hardware and then it doesn't do nothing. It's just not worth it, and I mentioned that on the individual review. Do not buy that product, it's not worth it. And although the firmware was updated at that time, and the ones that purchased and cannot upgrade the firmware, they're stuck with something with a brick. So hardware and firmware are very important, but we'll talk about firmware in just a few seconds. So regarding hardware, I've got here on the list, as you can see on screen, the CPU and GPU. We have tried on the channel AM Logic, a lot of them, Intel, Rockchip, MStar, Allwinner, and all the GPUs were integrated on this kind of machine. They are all integrated. So I've got there the topic as well, saying that dual cores and quad cores. And what I want to achieve here on the CPU and GPU, which is one of the most important parts on these machines, before we move along to firmware. Now, dual cores, they're not as powerful. This is basic. They're not as powerful as quad cores. But I did see machines, and I've got a great example here, which is WeTech, and we're going to talk about that in just a few seconds. The dual core that they have there, they have a great integration on firmware that it plays better than some quad cores. So this just to tell you that sometimes the hardware is not everything. It's very important, but it's not everything. Now, getting to a point that we can find a quad core that performs great and has a great firmware, then I would see no needs to go for a dual core. Of course, I would give you a quad core as a suggestion, at least the S805. I'm going to mention a lot of AM Logic here because most of these machines have the AM Logic CPU powered. So at this moment, what I can tell you right out of the bat, and mentioning some of the CPUs, and I will go to the last point and I'll post on screen, my favorite CPUs along all these machines were the AM Logic S812 and the Intel Z3735F. Right out of the bat, these two gave me no problems at all. The problems that I had with these were just on firmware integration. One thing over here, one thing over there, that most of the brands fixed it. Some of the brands didn't care, and they're still on the actual review, but most of them fortunately care about their product, and they updated the firmware. So getting back to the point, CPU and GPU, AM Logic S812 was the best experience, and Intel Z3735F was a great experience, one of my favorites. So that being said, if you ask me, hey Robert, if I want a machine just for coding, what would you tell me about the CPU? I would tell you S805 on the AM Logic S805. And I'm going to strictly most talk about AM Logic, as I said, because it's mainly what we reviewed. Now, I can also say Rockchip 3188, just for video playback and few light gamings. Hey Robert, I want to step up, besides having 1080p, I also want 4K and I want to play some games. Then step up to the AM Logic S802 and the Rockchip 3288, or the Allwinner side of things, which we have one right over here, the A80, which is also a great machine. So this is, and I'm forgetting about the MStar We have an M star on the Z64 X9, which was a great experience as well. So these are the top ones that we did try, and my favorite ones. Now regarding RAM, as you can see also over there on the screen, I've got here 1 GB, 2 GB and 4 GB. The maximum that we tried here on the channel was 2, but there are machines with 4. This is the most that we can get, the better, as with any machine. Even if we don't use it, just to try and future-proof if that exists, get the best or the most that you can initially, so you can run the most applications that you can without having any problems, which sometimes make the machine go lagging, or even make the machine reboot if the RAM is seen too much usage. So that's the point regarding RAM. Let's go for the storage. Storage, I will have to mention the eMMC 5.0. Only 2 machines that I've tried so far have this kind of flash storage eMMC 5.0. One is the Minix Z64, which is one of the best experiences that I had so far with boxes, and I'm talking about the Android version because we are talking about mostly of multimedia consumption here. And the other one was the Xtreamer Wonder, which also has the eMMC 5.0. Yeah, that's correct, and was also a great experience for me, although it had a few things that I didn't like, and I had to make a tough review, and I don't know if Xtreamer liked it or not, but I had to be honest, as I always do. But this just to tell you that eMMC 5.0, if you find a machine with that kind of storage, you're going to be happy, especially on the responsiveness. When you press a button, that app will open. There are some machines that I have here on the lower range, like 50 euros, that you press Kodi and it will take a few seconds, and then it opens, and when you close it, it will take about 6, 7, 10 seconds, so it's a bit frustrating. On the eMMC 5.0 or even eMMC, which is a tad slower but not that much, you will press the button, the app opens. You want to change app, just it's great. So storage, have in mind that it is a very important part of your box. Also, Wi-Fi power. This is and even last night I was giving a few suggestions to some of the users when someone was asking, and this is not the first question. I don't have a cable here, I will need to use Wi-Fi. Which is the best box possible for Wi-Fi? And my answer is, do not rely on Wi-Fi for high demanding content. If you want to watch movies in SD format or something like that, then Wi-Fi will be okay. But if you want to enjoy the best quality picture that you can, you will need a physical connection. And what I have also on screen is range and transfer speeds, power lines as a solution, and then I placed the Volo because the Volo were the best power line adapters that I've tried so far at this moment on the channel. So the best thing that you can do if you want high quality content to be streamed on your network, forget about Wi-Fi, invest in a power line adapter kit. That will give you the same, at least on the Volo, I'm getting the same speeds that I would connecting directly to my router. So I can place a box on my living room, another one on the room, another one on my kids' room, and I don't need to rely on Wi-Fi connection. So this is my answer to you. Try not to rely on the Wi-Fi connection. If you are stuck with Wi-Fi and you don't want to invest, then probably you're going to lower the quality that you can watch, unless you like to watch movies like this, which I believe no one wants. But try to avoid at maximum on any machine. I'm talking about the 20 machines. Try to avoid this. If you want to browse, Wi-Fi will be okay, but to play MKVs from Blu-ray movies that have, I don't know, 20, 30 gigs, then forget about Wi-Fi and go power line. Now, construction material and overall look. There are boxes made of plastic, there are boxes made of black metal, silver metal. This will be a personal choice. I've had some comments here from the Minix side of things. They built in a very high quality plastic. Some people loves it, some people hates it. I'm gonna give you another example. The Z64 X9 has a silver metal, and I've had people say, hey, that is a great box regarding aesthetics, and I've got some people saying, hey, I hate that box. So it's different. In my opinion, I like it. I like different things, as I said on the beginning of the video. So we have a lot of different things here. The only thing that I suggest here, just go with your option, go with the thing that you love the most. Of course, it matters if it's a robust plastic or if it's a robust and beautiful metal, but go with your thing. It is one thing, sometimes it's overwhelming having so many boxes, but at the same time it's great because you have a lot of choice, both in hardware and also on aesthetics. So that covers the construction material. Now the last point is remote control, infrared and wireless. Now here what I suggest is simple as this. When you select your box, it doesn't matter which, but when you select your box, check if it comes with a wireless remote. If it doesn't, you don't need to give up from that box. If it does, great, but if it doesn't, you don't need to give up on that box. I'm sorry for the repeating here. Just put on your budget an extra few dollars, an extra few euros, pounds, whatever currency you work with, just to get a wireless remote. There are cheap wireless remote controls that will give you a great experience. And you have seen, if you didn't, just, I forgot to mention, but all the individual reviews will be right here on the top corner, called YouTube cards. So get a few extra money instead of currencies, money, just for a wireless remote, which will give you a much faster experience, and lastly, a great experience. And that is it for this topic. So to wrap it up, these are the things that I do consider important, and as you can see on screen, once again, my favorite CPU GPU combination on all these machines were the AM Logic S612 and the Intel Z3735F, which gave me a great experience so far across most of the machines that I did try. That being said, this covers this topic. Let's move for the next one. And we are at topic number 3, which is firmware integration. So I've got a few subtopics here, also 6 to be more precise. And the first one is, what is firmware? Which is something that is not easy to explain, but let's give it a simplistic way. And if any of you engineers which work on firmware, apologize for my way of explaining things, but you have the hardware, which is one layer, and then most people think that we have the operating system on top, but that's not true. We have something called the firmware, and then on the top we have the operating system. Doesn't matter if it's Windows, if it's Android, iOS, OS 10, doesn't matter. But that's the thing, that's how things work. Hardware and then firmware. And most of the times each component, each chip has its own firmware built in, and then there's a layer of firmware that puts all that together, and then the operating system. So this in a very simplistic way. So once again, I apologize for those that really work hard to get these things done correctly. This is my simplistic way of explaining the firmware, what it is, in just a few words. So the second subtopic is, how do I know how well will it work? And the only way, once again, that I can tell you if the firmware is well integrated or not is by testing, and that's the only way. We can read benchmarks, we can, when it's videos it's different because we can actually see the images if everything is working fine or not, the games if they are working fine or not. But I'm going to give you an example. When I choose, and we go right there in a few seconds, when I choose one of the boxes, I just had written information, and all that written information was great benchmarks, great this, great that. And I said, well, this is going to be a great machine for me to buy it. And I did purchase it. I have it right over there. And lastly, it was the worst experience that I had so far. So getting back to the point, how will I know? Only testing. And that's why I love to do reviews on these machines, because we test it out, see the hardware, the firmware, the price, everything, and then finally if it works according to the hardware and the expectations or not. Now, The third subtopic is hardware vs or versus firmware, and on my opinion, once again, everything here it's my opinion only, based on facts and also based on a lot of comments that I had from the great community on that side of the screen. But my opinion at this moment, and this is, it's not just at this moment, it's not something that I woke up this morning and said, hey, firmware and hardware are the same thing. No, it's something that I've been gathering through the years, not on just on these boxes, but on any kind of component that I have. And my opinion here is that firmware is as much or more important than hardware. Of course, you can tell me, hey Robert, you cannot do the same thing with a dual core than you can do with a quad core, and that's 100% correct. I do agree on that, but when you have the same kind of hardware and two different kind of firmware integrations, that you can have a great machine and a really bad machine. So this is why I say that firmware is something that we need to be aware of, and that once again takes us to support and takes us to research a little bit before making a purchase. Now let's go to a real life example, which is what I have next over there. As you can see on screen, give me an example. And the example is simple, the U-Box 3288, which is right over here. This was by far, and if you check the review, was by far my biggest disappointment, if I can use that word, don't take me wrong. This was a real disappointment. And on my video review, which you can once again check right over there, I start the video by saying do not waste money on that, and I still stand by that, even though at this moment I've had some feedback that the community, once again, which is important, find a way that gets some firmware. I'm not sure even if it comes from the manufacturer or not, but they are getting a workaround and getting more performance out of this. And the point here is very simple. I'm going to leave it for a few seconds here. This machine here has everything to be a great machine. It has a great hardware, but on the other hand has the worst firmware integration that I've seen so far, and that makes a great machine, which was expensive, I don't know how to say it in English, but something that you place on top of the papers. And some of you, I'm sure that you will find the word and post down on the comments below, but that's what it is, just sitting right there doing nothing. And just because of the firmware, which has the Rockchip 3288, which is a very powerful CPU, but as I mentioned again, it doesn't work. If the firmware is not integrated, then nothing. And this was the example that I was talking about earlier. I only had the chance to read about it. I never had the chance to see an actual review. So when I bought it, I saw the benchmarks, which we will talk later on. Benchmarks, I saw the spec sheet, and I said, hey, this is an interesting machine with a different look. That's what made me purchase. Different look, great hardware, so let's try it. And then I got disappointed, and then I've got something to put on the top of the paper. So let's put it aside, because it doesn't even deserve to be on the video, to be actually. But to be fair with that brand, I'm going to talk about later on my favorite machines, and that brand was able to do a really bad machine, but also they did a great machine, which is right over here, which is the Bellow i1. And I only discovered that these were from the same brand a few months ago, so they are evolving, which is great, So, but this, to make a point, firmware is very important. Now I'm going to give you an example, which is what this subtopic is about. I give you a bad example, I'm going to give you a great example. I've got there on the corner, I'm not sure if the camera is getting, which is the WeTech Play. Let me grab it over here, just so we can see. The camera is not capturing. Yeah, sorry about that, WeTech. You deserve to be on camera. The WeTech Play has a dual core, if you watch the review. And the thing is that they have so great integration on their firmware that this dual core works better than many quad cores that I've tried. So here's a positive example that one of the boxes that has a weaker hardware. And if you tell me, hey Robert, it doesn't play 4K, no, it's not meant to play 4K. Hey Robert, does it play a few games? Yeah, as you can see on the individual review. How does it work? It's great for the hardware that it is just great. I was not expecting when I reviewed, and this is on the list of, well, I'll talk about that a little bit. But here are two real life examples of one of the boxes that and these two were a great example. I think one has by far a superior hardware, it doesn't worth anything, and the other one, sorry about the screens just went off, and the other one has a weaker hardware, very small storage, 4 gigabytes is the only thing that could have been higher, but the firmware is so great that they made of a dual core a great machine. So this is one of the things, and I've got another example here. If I go to the X5 that you can see there on screen, X5 Mini, which is one of my first machines that I had, it has a dual core as well, but the firmware is so well integrated that it works much better than the U-box that you saw over there. So this is a real life example of firmware integration is so important. That's why I say it is almost at the same, or even at the same level as the hardware that one of these boxes is composed. So let's go for the next topic, which is how easy it is to update the firmware. And we will have a chapter just about updating firmwares, but it depends. If it is online updates, which I love. If you watch some of my videos, you know, any box that has online updates, I do love it. I do love other machines that don't have online updates, but I know that I'm limited there. If I don't get a great experience on when they come from factory, probably I'm not going to have time to upgrade it. I'm going to be stuck with that, which was what happened with the U-box. But that's just to say that firmware updates, if they are online, which are called OTA, over the air, it's just a press of a button, leave the machine, go have a coffee, and that will be it. If the firmware update is manual, then there's always a risk that we, not the machine, but we make any mistake, and we can break the machine, we can break it, brick or break, it goes down the same way. So that's why all manufacturers that have firmware updates manually, they will give you a set of steps that you have to follow, and if you miss one of those, it's gonna be a headache. On the other hand, once again, over-the-air updates, which gladly I'm seeing more and more and more on these machines, are becoming more frequent. So this, in my opinion, is great. But on the other hand, I have to mention something here, which is if you are those kind of geeks and you don't want any support, you don't want nothing, you want to do everything yourself, then firmware updates, manual updates, I mean, you will enjoy it. I can give you an example here. I'll give you two or three, just to mention this and try not to lose focus. Minix Z64 or the WeTech Play, I'm not sure which one it was one of the first machines that I tested with online updates. And it was a great experience. I've got all of them updated. Well, not all of them, because I want to record a video just with online updates. And it's not the only machines. I've got more here. The Xtreamer, the X9, the Zido X9, and probably that's about it. Xtreamer, Minix, Zido. If I'm doing any mistake, please apologize. I will fix that on the writings on the video. But this just to say, when I had that experience was great. I'm going to give you the same example on one of the brands. I've got the X8H Plus. Since the day it was released, I was decided, got it, and the firmware integration is great, but it has, at least at the time, if you buy it now, it will have updates on over the air, but back then it didn't. So from the same brand, just not to be unfair with any others, from the same brand, I've got the Z64 totally updated, and I've got the X8H Plus still with the firmware that came from factory. And I'm always saying, when I have time, I will upgrade it just for the experience. But the problem is we never have time to, or at least in my case, the time is very, very thin, my free time at least. So this is one of the examples. Let me give you another example. The MK12, which is right over here on the screen, came with a problem on the firmware. And and I had to do, they don't have online updates, I had to do the firmware manually. The support was great, it was 1 day response time, so I write them on 1 day, and the other day when I woke up there was the answer with the link to the file. I had to download all the instructions, but I was doing that update a bit on the fence. Everything went right, and I also did a video on that just to share that everything was fixed, and I was once again happy with the machine, because I wasn't fully happy, I wasn't 100% happy on the first review that I did. So just to give you an idea that firmware integration is very, very important, and I'm not sure if I did place this anywhere on the keynote, so I'm gonna say it here. There's no machine over here that it's perfect. The only one that I didn't find anything was the Minix Z64 Windows version. I didn't find anything there, but all the others, if you watch the video, there is one or other thing that I do put on my list, or the things that I did like the less, and always or mostly regarding to firmware integration. Another example was the Xtreamer. I had a problem and then it updated, online updates, and there we go, fixed that. So this just to say that when you purchase something, consider that you are going to purchase something that is not 100% perfect. So will you want to do the manual way or the online way, which is much easier in my opinion. Now let's try to wrap this up. Should I even consider to waste time with this firmware integration and online updates and all that sort when choosing a box? And I've got the sentence there, probably not the most nicest way to say, but hell yeah, we should. This is one hell of a big important addition on all these boxes, especially if you put on your mind that none of these boxes are perfect. They are being constantly upgraded, updated and fixed, all of them. So this is one thing, and if we imagine how we work, how we do things, we are not, if I'm happy with this pen today, for example, I will not be tomorrow, because someone will find a way of making this pen probably cheaper, more accurate, and writes better, and I don't know, but it's being upgraded. This is the way we work. This video, for example, today I'm probably going to be happy with it. I'm going to end the video and say, hey, it looks nice, but in 3 or 4 months I'm going to say, hey Robert, what the hell were you doing there? You could made it shorter, you could made it more informative, you could place this. For sure I did forgot some things. So we are always evolving, and human beings are evolving, so these machines are evolving as well. So that's one thing that you have to have in mind. You are not going to purchase a perfect machine. You are going to purchase a machine that is great, hopefully, and then it's going to evolve, and there's where the firmware updates and I think I'm already talking about the next topic. So let's resume this with the last sentence, which is, sorry, there is no 100% perfect firmware machine. There's always evolving. And I'm going to wrap up this slide over here and we'll jump to the next one. And we are back with the fourth topic, which is benchmarks. And if you are still here with us, that is great. Let's keep on moving. Probably want to take a break, have a coffee, water, orange juice, whatever. But it's easier for you. Just press that pause button, do whatever you have to do, and then come back. But let's move along so I'm not wasting your time. So the fourth topic is benchmarks. The first subtopic is why. And I've got there on screen, I love to compare, and that's one of the things that I do love, not only on this, but on all the machines that I have. And if you follow the channel for a while, you know that every time I do a machine, I have a machine, and this was one of the latest machines that it is, the MacBook. I did compare with machines that it would make no sense. For example, the Mac Pro, which is a totally different machine, sorry, a totally different machine from this. But I do love to compare. I do love to see the price point of one and the performance, and then the price point of the other one and the performance. And my database, which is obviously what I have in these days, a database created by me with the same tests, the same benchmarks, not only synthetic benchmarks but real world benchmarks. And if I want to purchase a machine tomorrow, if I look at my database and the experience that I had with some of the machines, I know exactly what I need. I'm not gonna overexpend, in this case, money and get something that will not be performance-wise the correct thing for me, and I'm not gonna well, that never happens. Under expend money, that never happens. It's always great to save money, but you know what I mean. When I want a machine with a database that I have created by me, of course, and with all the mistakes possible that I do, I know exactly what to get. Especially in terms of computers, I know exactly what I need and the investment that I will be making. So this is what I do, or I try to turn from the computer world, the machines that I use, to these little boxes over here, which is awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about speed test. Well, very quickly, how is the network important? And that's why I use speed test. And if you watch the video reviews that I did, which by the way, in my opinion, they are getting a bit higher quality over the time. The first review that I did was about October, November 2014. If you watch the latest one on the channel, you'll see a big difference. So that's one of the things that we keep evolving, as I mentioned on the previous topic. So speed test for me is one of the most important parts, because it will tell me how much this machine or that machine can take on the network. And as I work here, or as I enjoy content here, not work, don't use the machines to work, but is through my network. Sorry about that. It's through my network. So everything is stored on a NAS, and I've got 3 devices always working simultaneously. One on the living room, one on the bedroom, and one on my kid's bedroom. And sometimes I've got a few here on the office being tested on. But my data, my movies, my multimedia library, it's all on a NAS back there, which I've got reviewed on the channel as well if you want to check it out. So this means that I'm not using any, and I don't have one here at hand, I don't use any USB storage, I don't use anything. The only thing that I do when I set up a box is place it where it needs to be placed, and then configure usually Kodi, which is one of my favorite tools to watch movies. I just have to tell Kodi, hey Kodi, my files are on that NAS over there on the interface, and he will grab everything. So my kid can get his content, cartoons and everything. My wife can watch her series, and I can be in the living room answering for some comments over there while I'm watching, well, not watching, but hearing a movie, which I was yesterday, The Hobbit. I love that kind of movies. Doesn't matter for this topic, but this is why speed test is important. And I did refer this a few topics ago. Try not to rely on Wi-Fi, especially if you want the best quality content to be able to be streamed on your network. Sometimes, and I want this opportunity to share, sometimes people say, hey, I've got a box here, Roberts, it worked fine on you, but on mine it's crap, it doesn't work. Sorry about the language. And sometimes we don't think about the network, and that's not a great, but a very important point. Once again, I always advise go with cable, not with Wi-Fi. If you don't have means or ways to make the cable go from here to there, grab a power line adapter. I'm using the Devolo. It's a top-end adapters, but you can get cheaper ones. AV500 will be enough, which I've been using also in the past. AV500, any brand that you prefer will be great for your needs in terms of networking these devices. And once you try it, you will not want any other solution, because you can shut down all your office and your machines are working with just one network attached storage. That is it. Now let's move along, so we're not going to lose much time here. Speed test. Next is the Geekbench. This is one of my favorite ones that marks or benchmarks the CPU and RAM, also storage, but more the CPU. And this is one of the benchmarks that I use on my daily basis. Well, not on my daily basis, but to choose a machine which is, most of you know, or many of you know, I do work with After Effects a lot. And After Effects takes CPU and RAM. That's what it takes, mostly. So when I'm working on projects here, and I've done a video on that in the past as well, which is not related to this, but showing how I can use my 32 gigabytes of RAM in one project in After Effects. And After Effects is taking me the 32 gigabytes, just leaving 3 or 4 gigabytes available there. So Geekbench will give me an idea of how fast that computer is. And if I compare the result of my computer with that CPU that just was released yesterday, doesn't matter, I can achieve a what kind of performance will I get? Will the investment be enough? So this is why Geekbench on these machines for me are very interesting and is one of the most accurate benchmarks that I've used so far on these machines. So a great thumbs up there for Geekbench. Now let's move along to Antutu. Antutu is totally the inverse of Geekbench. It's a more complete benchmark, don't take me wrong, but when I mentioned Geekbench is the most accurate, Antutu is the most inaccurate benchmark. Now I'm not telling that the guys that made Antutu possible did a bad job. Probably they didn't. Probably they did a great job. But there's some way that some machines or some guys that make the firmware integration make the boxes to show a result that actually it's not. It has nothing to do with reality. I'm going to give you an example of a machine which is the MX3. I'm not sure what she is. She's right over here. Which is a great box for the price. Nothing against it. Nothing. Right over here, the MX3. One of the videos that's had a lot of views. And the point is, the MX3 had great results on Antutu, even superior to top high-end boxes that we have here. But then on reality, the things were not like that. Some games like cars games didn't play correctly. Another thing on video playback, I'm not sure. Video playback, I think it was fine, but on gaming, it was not. So a box that shows me 40,000 on Antutu, and then I've got a box here that only shows me 32,000, and I say, hey, this is a box that costed me 160 euros, and this one costed me about 80 euros, something like that. And I say to myself, something is wrong here. And Antutu, over this time, has shown me those results. Some boxes with great results, Rockship 3288 from U-Box had a high result. And then on reality, not so much. So Antutu was the one that was most inaccurate, sorry. And once again, nothing to against Antutu, but that's the way it is, and this is my opinion. Why do I keep on doing? Just because Antutu is one of the most used benchmarks, and that might be a reason for that, which some of you might tell me on the comments below. But when I see a written review, which I read a lot, a written review with Antutu results giving me 40,000 on one machine, that's going to give me a bit curiosity. I'm going to say, hey, those 40,000 on Antutu, does it mean that it's going to play every video, it's going to play every game? So, well, that is it. Let's move on. 3D Mark Score is also one of the great and accurate results that I've been giving. I've also tested this on the past on machines like Windows machines to test out especially the GPU here, and it's giving me great results, as you can see on some of the videos. Now also the last test that I started to integrate on the videos a few months ago was the Epic Citadel. Epic Citadel gives us not a final result, but it will give us a average result on the frame rates on machines, especially on the GPU side of thing. And it's a funny benchmark to do, because while you are benchmarking, you are seeing the images and how well the machine flows on those images. So this is one of the great benchmarks that I discovered and integrated here. So lastly, to finish up this thing off about the benchmarks, my sentence there is just my geek way of doing things and possible changes in the future, like storage. So this is my way of doing things, trying to give you a few results so you can compare to written reviews and then comparing with real life performance, which is what matters most. Will there be changes? Yes, I'm considering a few changes on the benchmarks, one of which was or is the storage. I would like to measure storage more accurately, like I do with SSDs on machines like computers and well, this is a computer, but laptops and desktops and things like that. I would like to get a tool. So far I've tested a few. I haven't found one that I like. So that being said, there will be changes, but as with everything else. But regarding storage was one of the things that I would like to give you. This one reads at 4 megabits per second, and this one reads at 10 megabits per second. So here's the difference. So far, the only thing that I can tell you is this is how fast it opens the app, and this is how slow it opens the same app. But it will be something that will change. And this will wrap up the topic number 4. Let's move on to the next one. And we are with topic number 5. So this topic, as you can read, is online updates. And we have covered a bit of online updates, so I'll try to keep this as short as possible. And hopefully you still are over there on that side of the screen. Now, the first subtopic is what are they? And my sentence is it's easy. That's the word that I have to describe a online update of firmware. Very easy. Just press the button, as I mentioned on a previous video, and you will have the firmware updated on any of these boxes that have online updates. And for that, just check once again the individual reviews. Now, why are updates necessary? And I mentioned there refer firmware, just to remind me myself, because I already talked a lot about these updates on the firmware and I don't want to repeat myself over here. But once again, no machine is 100% perfect. You will need updates. Even and considering that one of them is perfect, consider that there's a new operating system version and a manufacturer makes a custom ROM for that, or a ROM or a firmware, doesn't matter. And instead of instead of making it manually, you just have to press the button and you will have a new totally different machine. Well, the same machine with the different operating system, different firmware, with just a press of a button. So this is great. Now, the third subtopic is online updates mandatory? They are not. We can choose a machine with online updates and one without online updates. But one thing that I would like to mention here is when we choose one of these machines, we have to remember, and you can see two machines on the same price tag, but one of them has updates online and the other one doesn't. And this one costs about 3 or 40 euros more, and this one costs, of course, less. We have to have in mind that online updates is a service. They have to get everything on servers. They have to rent servers for that to be available 24 hours, 24/7. So this I consider a service. Being able to update online and paying a bit extra just once when I purchase the machine, for me it's worth it. But this is something that you will have to decide. But this is the way that I like to think of things. I'm not sure if it's correct or not, but I consider it a service that comes with that particular box. So when it comes to the time to press the button and update, I'm getting those 30 or 40 years that I paid back a few months ago. I'm getting it back. This is the way that I believe that things work. Now, over-the-air vs manual. So online updates are risk-free. All you have to do is press the button, unless, and this is never happened, but if you are on the middle of an online update and your power goes down by some reason, then there is a risk involved. But that risk exists on the manual update as well. So there's always risks on updates, on everything, just not just on the boxes. But on a clear sentence, online updates are risk-free if your power doesn't fail, and manual updates, even if the power doesn't fail, if you make a small mistake, not checking one box and not checking that, you can risk to have your machine bricked and spend 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours. And I have to go back once again to why are updates necessary and are they mandatory? No, but when I paid those 30 euros and I mentioned that I do see it as a service for me, saving me 3 or 4 hours of troubleshooting a machine that I did make a bad manual firmware update, is totally worth it. If I can keep working, and it doesn't matter if it's here on the office or on my actual work on the school teaching, it doesn't matter, it's always worth it not spending 5 or 6 hours troubleshooting things that I shouldn't just press the button. So this is, but once again, this is my opinion. Now, is it important when choosing a Android TV box? It depends. For me, it is very important. If I want to have my machines upgraded, yes, I do spend time thinking if I should get this one or that one. If I'm between two machines with roughly the same performance and I have one with online updates and one without online updates, I will get the online updates. But as I always say there, always not, but on there on the screen, I have depends geek. If you are that kind of guy, which I am a little bit, but less and less time every day. So if you are that kind of guy that likes to put his hands and try different things and custom ROMs and things like that, then maybe online updates will not be the thing for you. Although with machines with online updates you can do all that thing, but you will be fine with the manual updating, because you will probably making changes to your boxes, trying this ROM and that ROM and, well, all sorts of things. So this will depend on you. For me, my opinion, I already gave you. Now, examples, as you can see on screen over there, I placed a message which I need to record, and I want to record a few on the same video. There's no point in making several videos. On the individual reviews that I did, you will have examples on the machines that are able to online updates. And I can tell you right out of the bat, the Minix Z64, the old Minix lineup right now, it's online updates. The WeTech Play, the Zido X9 online updates as well, the Xtreamer online updates as well, and that's about it regarding the online updates. Yeah. So these machines online updates, and you can check it on the channel. All the others are manual firmware updates. Examples I need to record, and once I record, you can watch here on the channel. Hopefully will be a very short video just showing you different machines, how they work on online updates. And that wraps up the topic number 5, which were the online updates. So hopefully I'll see you on the next topic. And here we are at topic number 6, which is, as you can see on screen, support and community. And my first subtopic is support, why, and then refer firmware. And as you can see, firmware for me, on my opinion, once again, it's very important. Even here, it's so, once again, I'm referring to firmware. So support, why? If, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's certain, there is no perfect machine. And if you have something which, by the way, on my reviews, I do have this type of benchmarks, this type of testing, etc, etc, etc. But I've had questions which some of them hopefully in the future I can answer, but one of them that I'm recalling right now: hey Robert, does this particular machine work with Netflix at 1080p? And my answer is, hey, I live in Portugal, I don't have Netflix yet, unless I use a VPN and whatnot. But legally using Netflix the right way, I don't. Hopefully we will have in October, which I will be a subscriber to watch that content and test also the machines and share the experience. But this just to say that making the point that there is no perfect machine. Do you want support? Of course we want support. Well, at least on my opinion, I want to be able to say, hey, I'm using this machine or in a different way, and this was, sorry about that, I'm losing the focus here and starting to talk about, so refer to that. I was saying that I have my way of doing reviews, but you, on the other hand, don't use the box the exact same way that I do. Let's say that you use a particular app, which Robert here doesn't know that app, didn't try that app, and by some reason when you get your box, everything that Robert showed you on the video works, but the particular app that you want to try on your machine and you want to use on your machine because you bought that machine for that particular app and nothing that Robert reviewed, and you say, hey, this doesn't work. In that case, support is the most important part. You want to write to someone and say, hey, this app is not working, what's wrong? And probably the answer on the other side hopefully will be, we are fixing that, and in a few days you will receive a message on your box saying, or a message on your email say, here is the manual update for your problem, or there's a new online update for your box. So this is why important, or for me it's very important, the support. And I've had great experiences on some of the brands which I mentioned on every individual reviews, which I'm not going to bother you again here. And I've had terrible experiences on support as well. Then the next topic is the community and why. And this is one most, well, everything is important. If you say, hey Robert, what's not important? Everything that I have here, in my opinion, is important. So the community, why is important the community? Now, there is a brand, particular brand, doesn't matter which, their job is to make, and this is what I like to believe, their job is to make the best machine possible at the best price possible. And they will try to sell it, which is great. We want to buy it. which is great. So everything moves on. But the point is, you will get people selling one brand, other people selling other brand. I'm not a salesman. I'm a reviewer. I review every brand the same way, as you can see in the videos. But the community will give you a more accurate view of the things that happen with every single box. So you will have on the, just out of my head, on the Minix forum, on the WeTech forum, on the Xtreamer forum, on the Zido forum, on the Trophy forum, they have got a forum as well, if I'm not mistaken. Well, on the ProBox as well, you will have the community involved and saying, hey, I just got this particular machine and it's not working. And instead of waiting just for the support of that company, there's always someone there saying, hey, I've had that problem as well, here's the solution, or try this and try that, and try this and try that. And this is what makes the community great. The same happens here on the channel, something that I love to see. Hey Robert, how do I do this? And then some fellow, one of you guys up there, goes there and answers that question. What I do in that case is I press the button just to say that great, that thumbs up on those comments, and say that I took the time to read and I do appreciate that, and that great community involvement. But this just to say that the same happens with every box that has a community. Not box, but a brand itself with a community. It's really important, on my opinion, of course, especially on the knowledge sharing. If you go to some of these forums, you will have custom ROMs and different things, and installing Windows in a Android box, and installing Android in a Windows, well, all sorts of things that companies themselves cannot do. It will have to be the community, and that's the way the things work. If you see open source development of any kind of software, you will see that these type of communities work much better than the companies that developed on the first time. But well, this is my opinion. Now, also try different things with like custom ROMs, which I already mentioned here, so I will not bother you again. And then one thing that's on every type of technology, I'm not sure if this exists, which is future-proof. I think there's nothing with future-proof. We can achieve a longevity, or we can try to establish a longevity for a kind of device, a GPU, a monitor, a whole computer, doesn't matter. But future-proof is something that for me on technology is very difficult to believe, because every day everything is evolving. So today is the best, tomorrow it's obsolete. But trying to future-proof anything, once again, if that exists, once you have a community, and let's talk about operating systems in this case. For example, if you have a community, I'm sure there is someone out there that at some point, even if that brand will not come with a new custom ROM, with Lollipop, let's say, or the new M Android version that will come in the future, I'm sure that there will be someone on the office, on his garage, on his, it doesn't matter, will develop something for him that will help the community. And this will help, especially not on hardware, but especially on software, will help to future-proof once again that thing. So for me, support from the brand and the community is a great thing. You can ask everything on the forums, you can throw things to the forums and help others. So this is one of the most, this is why I keep on doing videos to YouTube, the great community involvement. Now, lastly, I finished up with a sentence which is great to be part of the community. On the other hand, if you don't feel, if you are a solo man, you don't want to be part of the community, just forget, sorry, everything that I mentioned here. On the other hand, I'm a community guy, not just here, not just transferring things, but on my regular life, which doesn't have a camera. I'm a community guy. I like to do whatever it's possible to help on my job, on my daily interactions with people. I'm a community guy, but that's the way I am. You have to decide which way you are, and if you have different opinions or the same, don't be afraid to leave down on the comments below whatever you think about any of the topics. And with this, we are finishing topic number 6, and let's move for the next one. So let's go for topic number 7, and for you was just a few seconds. For me, I did actually took a little break. Now, as you can see on screen, topic number 7 is my reviews the way that I do things around here. And before I start this topic, which will take a little bit, but out of curiosity for some of you of the community and some of you that follow the channel for a long time, I started this channel in 2010. Just to give you a bit of background before we mention some of the things that are related to the box. I started the channel in 2010 with one purpose only, which was to show off my After Effects template. And many of you know that I do create content on After Effects, Apple Motion 5, and make them available for sale. That's one of my jobs. And when I created the channel, I thought, well, I'm going to grab more attention probably to my templates, and I started reviewing things that I bought for my daily basis: a computer, a new CPU, a new GPU, and share with the community. I remember one of the machines that I shared and it was great experience was the Mac Mini. The first time I bought a Mac to be able to work with Motion 5, which was one of the softwares that I couldn't work with a machine with Windows. So that's the way that the channel started, just with After Effects firstly, and then starting to try and grab more attention from viewers, to be aware of my content so that they probably would be able to find that content interesting and purchasing and help me out with my my bills. Not help me out, but getting their job and paying me for that, and that was simple. But then something unexpected happened, as I mentioned on one of the videos that I did a few days ago with the NT2 that are right over there. That was a funny video to do, but something unexpected happened, which was the community started to get involved on my videos, and I love that. I really love the community feedback, and that made me think in YouTube in a different way. So instead of just grabbing people's attention to get my templates, which still happen, and that's great, pays my bills, but also being part of something, which is what happens at this moment. And the channel is growing at a nice rhythm, at least on my opinion. I'm having great feedback, and at this point my YouTube channel is not just that was at the beginning. It is something that I really enjoy, spend time here with you, and of course I'm watching at the camera. But one of the things that I also like to share here, if you watch one of my first videos, I didn't know who my public was, and that was one of my difficulties. And some of you mentioned, hey, you are a teacher, for you it's easier to do these videos, and for me it's easy to be a teacher when I'm in a classroom and I know my audience and I feel the audience. And if I see a student bored, I will have to make a way to make that class a bit more interactive and a bit more interesting. And even if the content of the class, it's a bit boring, sometimes that happens, but just to share with you that this was the beginning of the channel, and today is totally different. Today I'm enjoying, and one of the things that helped me is you on that side of the screen. It's difficult to explain, but when I interact with you on the comments, I get to know a little bit more of you, and that makes easier for me talking to that side of the screen. And when I'm talking to the camera, which is what's in front of me right now, it's the camera, but I'm feeling who is on the other side. I'm thinking about this is not a way, that's why I say it's difficult to explain, but this is not a way of rationalizing the things, but it's just inconscient. I do feel who's on the other side, and that makes me feel better, and not feel better, but give you more accurate feedback. And if you watch my position here, the way that I express things, it's only because of you on that side of the screen. And as I said in the beginning, I didn't know my audience, so I was thinking about the camera. I don't know who I'm talking. So my expressions, if we go back to 2013, 2012, even 2014, my expressions were like, oh, hello, but today it's different because I can feel it right there. This is the background of the channel. Now let's go to my reviews and my way of doing things. So why do I review them? The boxes themselves. Hopefully I didn't bother you too much with that background info on the channel. Firstly, because I'm a long-time user of this kind of device. I love to watch content. I love to create content, but I also love to watch content. Mostly my family videos that I do for, just checking if I placed the microphone. Yeah, sometimes I forget to plug the microphone. But getting back to the point, especially because I love to watch content. And the first boxes that I had nothing to do with Android TV boxes. They were closed boxes One recent one that I had was the WDTV, which you cannot install apps. Well, you are very limited. I had the first version of the Xtreamer, which was the Sidewinder. Before that, I had one that had the integrated hard drive with the very basic menu, but I could enjoy my content. So why do I review them? It has nothing to do with my work, which is motion graphics and After Effects templates and all that. I do review them because I'm a long-time user and I love technology in general. So that's one of the reasons. Now, where do boxes come from? This is something might be interesting for you. Most of them I did myself. It was a decision on the end of 2014, going back to the background of the channel. That's why I made that. I made the investment plan, if I can call that, in 2014 at the end. Well, it was two plans. One of them was to open a Portuguese channel because I was getting a lot of attention from the Portuguese community, which had difficulty to understand the English. Although I have a Portuguese accent and most of the people ask me, hey, are you Brazilian? I say almost, I'm Portuguese. It's almost the same language, just with a different accent. I was getting a lot of feedback from the Portuguese community, so I decided in 2015 I'm going to open a channel. So that was one of the decisions. The other decision was I'm going to make an investment on the channel. So I start buying, and I made a budget. I'm gonna start buying this kind of devices which are getting a good traction on and attention on YouTube. So let's make an investment on that, and I start making that. But I also have their samples, which at some point I got some contacts from manufacturers saying, hey Robert, can you review my box? And I said, yeah, no problem, I will review your box. Now this takes me to the third subtopic, which is, have you ever rejected a request? And my answer is more than a few. So the way that I do things around here is either I buy a box and I've got no obligation with no one, or a manufacturer sends me a box and I've got no obligation because I stated clear on every email that I send, I'm going to do the review my way, and that is it. If the box is great, great. If the box sucks, then it's not my problem. And one thing that I would like to mention here is some of the requests that I have are like this. Hey, Mr. Roberts, we love your channel, blah, 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 blah. Would you like to review our box positively? And this is a limitation for me. So one of the reasons that you don't see some boxes right over here is because I got an email requesting, can you do a positive review? And my answer has to be, I can do a review. I'm not sure if it's going to be positive or negative. What I do is I'm going always to try to find positive things, and I'm always going to find or try to find negative things or things that I did like the less. And some brands do this. Hey Roberts, we have a box here. We send it to you and you review it, and don't ask me anything, and all I do is my work here. I review it with the fairness as possible, and that is it. I will deliver to you. But when some brand asks me for a positive review, my answer is always, my review is this, the script. At the moment I give them the example of the last review. This is the script. If your box passes these tests, great. If it doesn't, patience. Sometimes the answer that I get, yeah, no problem, fine, here it is, the box, and do whatever you want to do with the box. Sometimes the answer, no, we cannot deliver the box because we want to increase sales. Hey, I'm not a salesman. So some brands, and I'm not going to mention any, but I did negative reviews, which is the way that I do things, and now they refuse to send box, or they don't care about sending boxes because they know that it's a risk. If they come here to the channel, it's a risk to be reviewed. That is it. But I've got other brands which they are so compromised with the product that they delivered that they say, hey, here's the box, do whatever you want to do, and if you have any negative feedback, just tells us. And that is great. Everybody wins that way. The brand wins because they are sure of what they're doing. Me, on the other hand, I have the freedom to do whatever I want on the channel, because at the last point, this is my channel. The way that I do things right over here, some of you guys will like, some of you guys will not, some brands will like, some other brands will not, but I'm being honest with myself. So getting back to the point, I did reject a few, not to say more than a few, especially because people want me to do a positive review, and I can do a positive review if the box deserves. If it doesn't deserve, I will say, as I said on the U box, do not buy it because it's not worth it. I don't recall how much I paid, but over 100 euros. It's not worth it. And that's the way I do things right here. So just to keep in mind that there is no one, and you can mention, hey Robert, you were just sponsored by Minix for a giveaway. Yeah, Minix is one of those brands that just sends the box and they don't care how the script is. They just send the Minix NT2, they just send it and said, hey Robert, here it is, the Minix NT2 just announced, will you want to? And I said, yeah, great, it is. I'm going to be the first reviewer worldwide to have it here on the channel. So that is great, but they didn't give me a script. They didn't tell me, hey, do this, do that. No, they give me total freedom, and that's how the channel is going to keep. There are going to be some changes, but this one here, no. And this is not just boxes, computers, whatever people ask me to review. If it's a clear review, great, I will accept. If it's a review that I have limitations, hey Robert, you cannot try Kodi because Kodi doesn't work. And don't send me the box. I don't need it. I can just get the box and then sell it afterwards if I want to. So this is the way that I work. You can ask, hey Robert, those boxes that you purchased, what are you going to? I'm going to sell them because I don't need 20 boxes on my home. I need 3 at least simultaneously, and that's about it. Maybe one on the office here to play around. The others, the samples that were sent, those I keep here for testings and respect for the brands. But the ones that I purchase, I do whatever I want with them. And the way that I do is I invest, and then later I will sell. When? I don't know, but I will sell eventually. Sorry. So this just to leave clear that I've rejected a lot of requests from manufacturers that wanted to implement. So when you say, hey Robert, can you review this or that, probably I did try that, or probably the brand contacted me, and for some reason I didn't accept that review. So let's get to the next point, which this one's taking a while. Testings across all devices are all the same, and lastly, boring. The only thing that I'm trying to achieve here is fairness, as you could see on there. So for me, it wouldn't be fair to test a box on one game and then test another box on another game. What I'm gonna try to do is, and as I say, there are going to be a few changes, testing games on the same level, and by some reason one game doesn't work, then I will try the same game that I did on the other machine. So I will always try to keep as fair as possible between brands so that you can decide on the same tests. Ultimately, this will give you for those that follow the channel, will give you a more boring test, because it's the same test. Asphalt 8 on this machine, Asphalt 8 on this machine, Asphalt 8 on this machine, which is one of the great games that I like to test out. But this, just to give it clear, that it's to keep fairness across all devices. If Asphalt 8 works on this box and works on this box, and if you want to play Asphalt 8 or any other game on that level, then you have 2 choices, not just one. If I show Asphalt 8 in one and Beach Buggy on the other one, that is it. And you will say, hey Robert, what about Asphalt 8 on that particular one that was interesting? So on one hand, we got some boring reviews if you follow the channel for much time. On the other hand, I can deliver fairness across all devices, just to explain that to you. Now let's go to the things I like the most and things that I did like the less. Important feedback and sandwich effect. So here, well, this is going to take a while again. I'm not going to apologize. You are free to leave the video once you get. But regarding feedback, the way that I work here is the same way that I work on any job, on any relation, that I have to give feedback either to a student, either to a colleague, either to someone. And I learned this a few years ago regarding feedbacks. When you watch something, when you do something, you will have to find, because there is always positive things and negative things. And just out of curiosity, I'm a teacher for about 17 years now, 17, 18, approaching 18 years, and I always give feedback to my students, but probably no, for sure, I did learn through all those years to give more accurate feedbacks and a better feedback. And a few years ago, I went to Lausanne in Switzerland as a student, working but as a student, and one of the things that they hit there was feedback. How should we give feedback to people? And one of the things that stayed here and keeps on with me for maybe the rest of my life is when I watch someone's work. And by the way, I've worked, I still do, in top in hotelery, but it doesn't matter. When you watch someone's work, an employee of you, there are things that he will do right and things that will do badly or less right. And what we have to do to make that person evolve is to give both parts of it. So the feedback for me is very, very important when we watch everything and say, what did I like most and what did I like less? And I've got the sandwich effect there, because just to share with you, when we give feedback to someone, feedback is one guy's opinion, that is it, but we are trying to help the other one. But when we give feedback to and that's what I learned, we should start with a high note and say, hey, you made, for example, me, hey Robert, you have a video that, and remember one that took about 46 minutes, this one probably gonna take more. Hey Robert, you had a lot of great information there. So you start with a high note, a compliment to that, to the work of that person, not the person. You are not evaluating the person, but just his job. So no crystal heart over here. And for those that know what it is, great. If you don't, just browse around, you will search. But getting back to the point, saying, hey Robert, you have a great video over there, value information, but on the other hand, you took too long. You dispersed. Instead of following the keynotes, and this is happening with this video, instead of following the keynotes, you dispersed and you talked about the background of the channel. I don't care about that. No one cares about that. So, and then finish up, try to finish up with the high notes, but on the overall, I did learn something. So this is the way that I like to give feedback to everybody, and I try to implement that on machines as well, which is different. We're talking about machines, not people, but this is the way that I feel it's important. The same way is when you give feedback to me. I do have a lot of feedback. Some of the feedback is childish. There are a lot of users on YouTube that do not have the age, I don't know, maturity to watch a video, to watch some content, take the pros and cons. Most of you guys have, but some don't. And what happens is we get feedback like, hey, great. Well, that's great, that's what it felt to say. Hey, you suck. And this works not much, but sometimes we get great feedback. Hey Robert, you talked a lot on this video. It was very boring, but I did learn a lot. Or I did learn this, or I did learn that. Because on the end of the day, even if this video is very boring, just me saying boring, it's actually boring. At the end of the day, if you learn something, and if I was able to capture some moments of your attention, then there was some positive thing about that. And I'm going to shut up about the feedback. It's important, and what I want more and more, it's your feedback over there, which is what's giving me, it's one of the tools that's giving me to improve the videos that I did. I'm trying, at this moment, I'm trying to keep the videos shorter. This one is impossible, but the reviews, I'm trying to keep them shorter, concise, and think and whatnot. Let's go for the next, which is sound tests. I have no way of testing sound. One of the questions, which is something that I didn't imagine when I started these tests, because I'm not a audiophile, as someone, I can't recall the name, sorry, as someone mentioned, it's not audiomaniacs. I called him a audiomaniac in the good sense, not in the bad sense. And he said it's not audiomaniac, it's audiophile, or audiophile. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But I have no way at this moment of testing if this device is capable of pass-through, through HD, DTS, and all sorts of audio formats. So in the future, I'm considering that, but I cannot be sure if that's something that I'm going to get on the channel to test. Hopefully, yeah. Let's try. Let's see. But at this moment, I'm really sorry for all of you guys that are audiophiles or audiophiles. Sorry about the pronunciation, but I'm sorry. At this moment, I cannot tell you if one of these machines has passed through or not. You will have to rely on other reviewers for that, written or video reviewers for the audio. And that is it. I'm sorry about that. I will try to change in the future. This is something that we'll try. Now, community feedback, as I mentioned before, it is great. The overall, when I see the picture, is the overall picture. I don't see just the person A or the person B, I see the overall. I see every night when I go to bed, usually on my couch. I take 1 hour, 2 hours to reply all the comments for that particular day, or maybe 2 days, which is the most that I delay. But the feedback has been great. So once again, thumbs up for all of you that are on that side of the screen and are not scared enough to say, hey Robert, you sucked on that video, but you had some value information, or well, it doesn't matter, just write what you want. Mistakes. So this is the next point on this particular screen here. Mistakes a lot, even on this video, when I mentioned that I did evolve from the past of the channel so far, and I believe, at least I want to believe, and I will make that effort to get even better video quality. I did a lot of mistakes, and even on this video which I was mentioning, there is mistakes. There is mistakes on pronunciation, there is mistakes on how long do I take to make the video, there is mistakes probably on the lights, which is, I think, much better than it was in 2012, 2013, because I also invested in a few lights. There are mistakes on everything. Probably the camera sometimes gets out of focus. So, and I've got one here that you probably already read regarding these Android TV boxes. Sorry. For a long time, I was referring to the video resolution as 180p. So this machine plays great on 180p, and of course that's totally wrong. That's a basic and stupid mistake that I did, and that's just an example that I put here because I did it for, I don't know, 6, 7, 10 machines 180p until someone said, hey Robert, it's not 180p, man, it's 1080p. And I realized, hey, how did I miss that? So we miss things every day that we think that's basic and we do it correctly, but we're doing a big mistake. So I apologized and I fixed whatever I tried to fix and I could fix, but after that I did make an effort, because it was so natural to me to say 180p that I didn't realize. So after that I did have to make a effort to say 1080p, which is the correct one, 1080p, and so far the last I don't know 10 videos probably are fixed with 1080p resolution. This just to mention that there were mistakes in the past, there will be mistakes in the future, even including on this particular video. I am a human being, as you are on that side of the screen. If you analyze your day, at the end of the day you think, sorry about the redundancy there, everything correctly today? Was it possible for me to make everything that I could on that day? Was I lazy? Did I miss it? We all make mistakes. It's just the other person that is watching, if it's capable of understanding that mistakes and trying to give feedback to improve, or if you're not, or if you don't care and just, hey, let him do the mistakes and learn from his own. But this just to mention that there were a lot of mistakes. I do apologize for the technical mistakes. The other mistakes like pronunciation and things like that, I do not apologize. That's the way I am. I am Portuguese. I do speak English. I understand English. I do understand a few other languages, but that's the way I'm not going to apologize, because it is. I do apologize for the technical mistakes. I should have done. I should done better. Doesn't matter. Let's move on. Will the format change of my reviews? For sure, that will change. And if you watch the earlier reviews on these machines and everything that I do here on the channel, everything has been changed. We change. The world changes. So obviously the reviews will change. According to what? According to the feedback that I get. According to what I feel that it's I don't know, demanding. To my personal taste, it will change. The final result is just one: to get better content, more accurate, more precise, and to give a better feedback to that side of the screen. That's the point. But they will change for sure. As with everything, we change every day. So what I'm saying today, probably tomorrow can change. Well, not tomorrow, but in a few days, a few months. Lastly, my sentence here was my way. Great community. Once again, things are done my way, but inspired on the community and for the community, which is giving me a lot of learning. So this video in particular, I'm trying to output everything that I've experienced on these machines, but thankfully to the community, which you are a part, and you are still here, so you are a big part of that community. This is one of the things that, once again, as I referred on a few chapters earlier, the community makes the channel. And that's why I'm still here, because of the great feedback and all the kind words, and even those words that say, hey Robert, this video makes me sleep. And my answer, of course, is, hey, just play the video when you go to bed and you will be happy. Now, that being said, great community over there. Thumbs up for all of you. Let's go for the next chapter. Okay, and chapter number 8 and last. So if you are here or still here with us, thumbs up for you. It's not easy. It's not easy for me to talk all this at this time, so I imagine it's not easy for you on that side of the screen, probably on your couch and almost sleeping here. What this guy said. But if you are still here, just hang on a few seconds. We're almost finished now. So last topic, or last chapter as you want to call it, conclusion. And in here I've got another 5 points, as you can see. So the first one is, so which one should I buy? And my answer is your favorite one. This is one of the things that I started the video with, and you will say, hey Robert, thanks for nothing. And it's not nothing. Think about everything that we discussed here and try to achieve your favorite one. That is it. Don't ask me to choose the box for you. Don't try to get someone to do the dirty job for you. No, make the calculated decision. Take all the words that I said, and if you don't believe the words that I said, just do the exact opposite that I said on this particular video, and you will have your favorite box. And that is it. Once you choose your favorite, that will be the best box, which is the title of this video. The best box is the one that you choose. Now, next is create a features checklist of what you want. So, as I mentioned before, just grab a little piece of paper, watch a few reviews, and say, my box has to do this and this and this and this. And then based on that checklist, just checked another few reviews, and this is a process that will take some time, some days, weeks, doesn't matter, and you will, this box does this box does that, it is on my budget, it's not on my budget, etc, etc. This box is the one, or this box is not the one. So in this way, if you create a features list, you can do one thing, which is, if you have 20 boxes, you will start scratching, this one is not for me, this one is not for me, this one is not for me, this one is not for me. So you end up with 5. And from those 5, you can end up with 2. And then from those 2, if you can't decide, just, hey Robert, which one should I get? I will try to help, but it's difficult. So get the one that you want. Create a list on a sheet of paper, as I usually do, the old-fashioned way, and let's go. So then I've got another sentence, which is, I'm still not sure, even with all the help and with all the videos that I've watched, and even that one, Robert, which I don't know how long we are recording for, a lot. So I'm still not sure, and my answer, as you can see there, is no one is. So we can assume, but no one is. Just take the step. That's the important thing. Make a calculated purchase, an educated purchase, and take the step, because no one is sure. Well, I'm only sure after I get the machine and test it out and share it with you. But before that, I can only imagine, I have some expectations, and that is it. That is it. Once I have it, then I will be sure. So no one is sure before we purchase it. So take that step, and hopefully you won't regret it. Now, what are my favorite ones below? So I'll put the screen again there, and my favorite ones, personal choice. Before I place the screen, this is just a reminder for myself, before I place the screen, my personal choice. This doesn't mean that it's the best boxes out there. This means that they are my personal, the ones that are favorite to me. Now I'm going to post it on screen. So I've got the Minix Z64 Android and Windows version. These two gave me, and still give me, a great experience. The Windows more in a multitasking way, which you can, for instance, use Plex server, Plex player. I've got a lot of friends that love Plex. I'm not a Plex user. I like it, nothing against it, but I do prefer the simplicity of coding. Now, the X8H Plus, which is a great machine, and still right over here, a great machine. It's also on my list of the favorite ones. With TechPlay, one of the best TV experiences that I had was with Tech Play. It has, as I mentioned before, a dual-core CPU. It has somewhat inferior hardware, but in terms of firmware, it was so good that I really enjoyed it. And the TV experience, the channels that you get, IPTV built in by WeTech on all those channels was great. So this and online updates, of course. That was great. Also the Xtreamer Wonder, also a great experience that I had. We had two problems, if I believe, Wi-Fi, which was resolved, and another problem that I can't recall, but I think it was mirroring the iMac. It would not catch the whole screen. But taking that out of the way, it was a great experience. It is a great machine, so on my favorite lists. Also the Z64 X9, which features instead of the Intel and the AM Logic S812, this one features the AM Star CPU. Also a great experience. And Z64 is releasing a new machine soon, or they just released, which is the X1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, hopefully we will get one of those here on the channel so I can share with you the experience. But the Z64 has, besides the firmware integration, very well done. It has a particular thing that I did love, which is the HDMI built in, and it can record the screen, what you are watching, either TV. And I know there are a lot of restrictions on countries, but you are responsible for what you do with the content that you record. So for me, it is a great box, so it's on my favorite lists. Also the B-Link i1, and this is curious because on one brand I did hate the machine, which was the U-Box, and I loved one, which is the B-Link i1, which is right over here. This box, it doesn't have online updates. Oops, don't want to drop it. Right over here. And just check the review once again on the right top corner of this video. Doesn't have online updates, but it is very well integrated with a great hardware. It has one con, which is it has an HDMI input but doesn't have recording capabilities, at least at this moment, which is a waste. Was one of the things that I did criticize them, but all the other things I did love. So on my favorite ones, MX4, which is also here. No online updates, like I didn't mention, but the Minix has online updates, the WeTech has online updates, the Xtreamer has online updates, the Z64 has online updates, the B-Link no, the MX4 doesn't have online updates, but still a great machine. I did have a really nice experience, and I've had feedback from some of you guys as well, which some are happy, some are not, but this happens with all of the machines. Then the Probox 2 or Probox EX2 or Probox 2 EX, which is right over here, probably, yeah, Probox 2 EX. A great experience also. And it has one curious thing, which is the remote that comes included on the package, at least, which you can use it. It's a wireless remote. You can use it as a remote or as a gamepad, which is great. It has a really nice responsive. One of the best remotes that I've tried on the channel. Then finally, the Instabox Fantasy A8, which is right over here. And it has the all-winner CPU. So these are my personal choice for 2015 regarding all the machines that we tested so far on this channel. Once again, resuming the Minix Z64, and I'll put on screen, Minix Z64 Android and Windows version, the Minix X8H Plus, WeTech Play, Xtreamer Wonder, Z64 X9, B-Link i1, MX4, Probox EX2, and Instabox Fantasy A8. These are my favorite personal choices. Once again, it doesn't mean that this is the best Android TV boxes or Windows, which there's one. This means that are my favorite ones, and that is it. Lastly, to finish up this point, which is hope that I could help with this video. So I would like just to mention a few things. First, that really honestly I could help with this video. This is my hope, that I spend, I don't know, 1 hour, maybe two, I don't know, not 2 hours, but 1 hour approximately. Hopefully with all these words I could help with something to help you out to decide which box you should get. And I've got there, as you can see on screen, no comments. I do have no comments here if I could help, because this is something that you will have to do on that side of the screen. You are the one and the only one that can tell me, hey Robert, it helped, sorry. Hey Robert, it didn't help at all. You talked a lot, but you didn't say anything. So that judgment will be to you. One thing that I would like to mention before we close up is I took a lot of time, and for that I do apologize, but I can do things the other way. One other thing that I would like to mention is, for a long time that I didn't do a video like this where I can express myself to you without trying to limit the video on time. So from time to time I will do make a video like this, even if most of you don't like, because I do really enjoy, and to be honest with you, this is my free time. I really have to enjoy what I'm doing here. So from time to time you're gonna get one of these long videos, which you can just skip it out, or you can watch it, and I don't know. That being said, guys, don't want to take more of your time. My name is Roberto Jorge, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.